the public, Meagan Good was always the cool girl, the pretty girl, the down-to-earth, God-fearing woman who somehow floated through Hollywood untouched by scandal, always adjacent to the mess but never the source. She was the church wife, the reformed video vixen, the safe face of sensuality. But every polished image hides a shadow, and the deeper you look into Meagan's life, especially her romantic choices, the more you wonder, is she really drawn to broken men, or does she subconsciously seek them out because she sees herself as the one who can fix what's already cracked? When she linked up with Jonathan Majors in the wake of his scandal, jaws dropped. Here was the woman whose divorce from a Hollywood pastor had barely cooled, now appearing hand in hand with a man fighting some crazy allegations. It's easy to write it off as bad timing, but dig deeper and a far more psychologically complex picture begins to form. One where Meagan may not be the healer, she just might be the quiet storm in this hot, stinking mess.
Fix it, Black Jesus.
Before we dive deep into today's video, don't forget to scoop up something to munch on at rrgsnacks.com, our online concession stand that has an assortment of Applewood smoked bacon jerky, freeze-dried goodies, and butter toffee peanuts. For years, Meagan's relationship with Devon Franklin was held up as proof that good girls win. But beneath that image was a woman bending herself into a mold. After a while, Devon filed for divorce, and she went from Sister Meagan to Miss Good, if you're nasty. And then Jonathan walked into the picture, holding a tiny cup and on the hunt for his Coretta Scott King.
Bestie, you so damn messy.
He was also a man at the center of a scandal, a once respected actor who needed some redemption. The public saw Meagan's loyalty to him as confusing. But what if it wasn't loyalty? What if it was all a strategy? According to Dr. Carol McBride, a therapist who specializes in trauma bonds and codependent patterns, women who are praised for being good girls often seek out partners who are broken because they're addicted to feeling needed. They need to be chosen. They try to earn love through sacrifice. It becomes intoxicating. Jonathan's public unraveling may have made him the perfect subject for that pattern. Here is a man whose world is burning, and Meagan steps in with poise, softness, and silence. She's not defending him outright. She's not speaking for him, but she's standing beside him. A woman like her sends the message that he must be worth saving if she's still sticking beside him. But here's where the twist comes in. What if Meagan isn't just drawn to chaos? What if she's drawn to the power she feels when she's in the center of someone else's messiness? Think about it. With Devon, she was the one being molded. With Jonathan, she's the one doing the molding. This time, she has the upper hand. She gets to be the emotional guide, the loyal ride or die, the one who stayed when everyone else walked away. It gives her purpose, control, and more visibility. It's not about love, it's about the narrative. And in trauma psychology, this is known as repetition compulsion, the unconscious drive to recreate unresolved dynamics from the past, but in a way that allows you to rewrite the ending.
Now say what now? Bestie, what in the hell is you talking about? What you talking about, Willis? What the hell that mean?
Don't worry, Auntie. I'm going to break it down for you. Meagan couldn't fix her first marriage. She couldn't save the image. But maybe she believes she can save this man. The broken actor, the wounded boy behind the headlines. Clinical psychologists often refer to this kind of pattern as heroic empathy. It's a subconscious desire to rescue broken men in hopes that their healing will validate your own worth. It becomes a form of identity. You're no longer just a partner, you're a redeemer. The cost of that role, however, is high. If Jonathan never heals, or if his internal issues intensify, Meagan may find herself trapped in a cycle of damage control and emotional depletion. And if she's someone who feels most powerful in crisis, she may confuse that chaos for purpose. Now, here's a question for the besties. What if Meagan is the red flag? Not in the way we usually imagine, not loud, toxic, or abusive, but as someone who quietly gravitates toward dysfunction because it gives her identity, because it lets her be both the muse and the martyr. She doesn't cause the fire, she just keeps walking into it with a lighter in her hand.
Kaboom!
Look at the patterns. Her refusal to let go, even as headlines swirl. and her decision to co-star in Jonathan's life story. That's not just loyalty, that's psychological immersion. That's a woman who may see herself as the calm in the storm, when in reality, her presence might be precisely what fuels the storm's pressure system. This isn't about whether she's guilty of anything, it's about exploring what happens when a woman spends decades in the shadow of male desire and finally finds her own reflection in someone else's downfall. Meagan might not be toxic in the traditional sense, but there's something chilling about the way she appears untouched by the messiness. For Jonathan, having Meagan next to him during a scandal is strategic. She softens his image. She reminds the public of what he could be, not what he's been accused of. But for Meagan, the consequences are more internal. The longer she remains in this relationship, the more emotionally invested she becomes in the potential of a man who may never rise to meet her loyalty. And when your self-worth is tied to someone else's transformation, you end up sinking with them. So where does that leave her fans? The ones who watched her blossom after divorce, who hoped she would finally live for herself, not through someone else. The hardest truth is that there is nothing they can do to pull her out of this. Even her closest friends tried to warn her, but their concerns went in one ear and out the other. When a woman is thriving in chaos, when her sense of identity is entangled in being someone else's peace, she doesn't see the storm as danger. She sees it as home. To the outside world, it looks like she's drowning, but to her, she's needed. She's necessary. She's finally irreplaceable.
You must not know about me, you must not know about me. So don't you ever for a second get to thinking you're irreplaceable. Get it together, Meagan.
And when that becomes her version of love, any attempt to pull her out feels like betrayal, like abandonment, like you're taking something from her that makes her feel whole. As for Meagan, no one can choose for her. No one can snap her out of this with a headline, a hashtag, or 1,000 pleading comments. She has to choose peace for herself. But for a woman who spent her whole life performing, first for the world, then for the church world, then for her marriage, and now, maybe, for a man on the brink, peace can feel terrifying because peace demands stillness and reflection. And if you've survived by constantly proving your worth, silence feels like death. That's why this story isn't over. One day, Meagan might realize she was never supposed to save him. She was only ever meant to save herself.